You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. And here we are tonight with a good friend. Joe Flemming has been doing polls since, I guess I've probably known you, 40 years?
Yeah,
something
least,
like that.
At least,
right?
If not more.
If not more.
If not more.
And you've been polling for how long?
About 34 years.
And we go back to when you were
at the Boys
Slater?
Club. No, we go back to the Boys Club.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The
Tucker
Boys
Boys
Club. East
Right.
Avenue.
Yep.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, a long time.
That's unbelievable. Well, you're the man now for polls in Rhode Island, right?
Well,
everybody's after you. Give us the litany. Give us what you've done in the last 2 days. Here we are the day after the election.
We did a lot of work with Channel 12 yesterday, pretty much all day. Started off first thing in the morning there at 6:30, doing the 6:30, 7:30 news.
AM.
Then I was back there around 12:30 to do a piece with Tim White. Then I was back there in the evening from like 6:30 on all the way to about 12:30 in the morning.
Wow.
You know, so that took all yesterday. Then today I was doing numerous interviews with different radio stations and TV shows. And I finished up with Ted Nisi at 5:30. We did a piece together on the 5:30 News Live. And now I'm finishing my day with you, Bob.
And here at 7 p.m. You're here at 7 p.m. to do. Wow.
Then I want to go to bed.
I guess you are. Out of the last 36 hours, you've
been pretty
up,
busy.
30 of them.
As they say, it's the Super Bowl time, so.
Right. So how'd you think the election went?
The election pretty much went according to script, believe it or not. The polls we did with Channel 12 had Sheldon Whitehouse with a very large lead, and he won. And we also had Gina Raimondo with a very large lead, and she even expanded that lead some. The biggest surprise was that she got over 50% of the vote.
Right.
If you asked me 2 months ago, I would have said, oh, there's no way.
45, 46?
Yeah, we thought that would be a winning number. But what happened was the Allen Fung campaign never seemed to get any momentum after the primary. And that gave her the opportunity with all the money she had to really move the needle. And
How
she
much
did.
money? She spent a lot of money.
She had about $7 million.
Did she spend
I
7?
think she probably spent close to it. Plus, she had a lot of independent expenditures, especially the Democratic Governors Association came in with over $1 million of advertising. And there were some other groups doing independent expenditures. This was probably the most expensive governor's race in the state of Rhode Island history.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. And on top of it, it was kind of odd what they did with Allen Fung, the Republicans. Didn't they shut him down?
Well, what happened was about 2 weeks out, the RGA pulled out their money in Rhode Island. What happened
that tells a story.
It tells a big story. I think they looked at the polling data that was out there in Rhode Island.
He's not going to win.
Right. He's down by double digits. We could take that money and invest it elsewhere, such as Florida, where they squeaked or went out.
Or Georgia.
In Georgia. You know, if they feel they can't win one state, they'll move the money somewhere else. And that's a sign that a campaign's in trouble.
Yeah, but that's a kick in the butt to a candidate.
They did spend a lot of money already in Rhode Island, but at the end, when you really need it, and you've got a governor who has a lot of money, you need that extra money. And Allen Fung didn't have that.
He didn't have it.
No.
But he also had something on his back. He had a monkey on his back. Not a monkey, but using the analogy.
Yeah.
Joe Trillo.
He had to deal with Joe Trillo. Now,
what was that all about?
Well, the bottom line is Joe Trillo didn't cost him the election because he only got 4% of the vote in the end.
Right.
But Joe Trillo was, as he said, a monkey on his back. He had to address Joe Trillo all through the season.
Right.
I mean, I was at the first debate that WPRI and Roger Williams College sponsored, and at one point, Trillo and Fung were going back and forth with each other.
What the heck are they doing? The governor's sitting over here.
Smiling. Yep. She was sitting pretty, and that took time away from Allen Fung. Plus, Joe Trillo on the stage, instead of a 2-person debate, we had a 3-person debate. Again, didn't give Alan Fung the time he needed.
Right.
So he had a lot of things going against him. And Joe Trillo hurt him. In the end, we had Joe Trillo up a little bit higher, but we also found from our polling unit support was soft, and people could change their mind. And I think what happened at the end was people said, well, maybe Joe can't win, so I'm going to go somewhere else.
Right.
And he dropped down to 4% of the vote.
But where did that 31% come in?
That was his own independent survey. He said he went out to parking lots of Walmarts and places like that and asked voters. That wasn't, I don't believe that was a scientific survey.
Yeah.
But you would have to ask Joe about
That's
that.
a heck of a drop if it was.
Yeah, you would have to ask Joe about that. I mean, he had Fung down at 21%, I heard. So I didn't really pay much attention to that. There was 3 polls out by news organizations, and one of them had the governor by 14. The other one had the governor by 8. We had her by 11. So.
And she won by?
She won by, I think, 14 or 15 in the end. Fairly comfortable.
Well, that was a little surprising she got over 50%.
Yeah, the last week or so, people felt she could do it. I think her campaign was going for that.
Right.
But again, the Democrats yesterday had a very strong get out the vote operation going on.
All nationwide.
And, well, especially in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And they were really emphasizing places like Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls, areas where Democrats are going to do well. For example, in Providence, the turnout increased by about 4,000 from 2014. However, in 2014, the governor won Providence by 16,000 votes. Right. Yesterday, she won Providence by 27,000 votes.
$11,000.
She got
11,000 points.
She got 78% of the vote in the city of Providence yesterday.
Wow.
Pawtucket, she won by 7,000 votes. I think 4 years ago, she won by like 4,000. So she's increased her numbers where she had to. And take Cranston. Their turnout increased yesterday. 4 years ago, Alan Fung won Cranston by 8,500 votes. Yesterday, he won it by about 4,000 votes.
And that's odd. I mean, he was the mayor.
He is the mayor still.
He is still the mayor.
But again, what happened is those new voters that were coming out voting Democrat. And I really believe 2 words is the reason why there was such a blue wave yesterday. Donald Trump.
Yes.
Rhode Islanders do not have a strong opinion of Donald Trump.
Right.
And I think in turn what happened was when they saw the word Republican, they thought Donald Trump. And the Democrats were motivated to come out of Rhode Island. And that's why the Democrats did so well yesterday. I mean, they picked up seats in the General Assembly. There weren't many Republicans to start. Now there's even less.
Did they lose 2?
They lost a net loss of 2 in the House.
Who'd they lose?
Let's see. They lost a seat in East Greenwich, and
East Greenwich, the council went all
the council
Democrat.
called it. Yeah, there's a lot of issues in the town of East Greenwich.
Right.
I
lived there for a few years.
The rep seat went Democrat, and so did the Senate seat.
Which is total.
Yeah, it's
Off
very
the
surprising.
charts.
That, yeah.
Off the
but I guess
charts.
a lot of issues going on there. They lost in Portsmouth, Mendaka. He lost the Portsmouth Middletown seat. So they picked up a couple. They picked up Jack Lyle in Lincoln, Pawtucket, the Republican.
Right.
And they also picked up.
He's over there off of Fairlawn.
Right,
Fairlawn,
exactly. They also picked up K.O. Keeble lost, the judiciary chairman. He got beat yesterday.
Really?
But they also lost other seats too.
Are you surprised how the speaker did?
I thought that race was going to come down to 300 or 400 votes either way.
Right.
I wasn't sure who was going to win it. I thought the speaker could lose the race. I wouldn't have been shocked. The speaker won in the race. I'm not shocked. But again, they had a strong organization. They spent probably a couple $100,000 in that race.
Wow. What did he win by? What was it?
310 votes
310.
after the absentees came in. He was up by 140 election night, and then the absentees increased the vote total.
And compared to?
2 years ago, he won by 85 votes.
And that was only because of the absentee votes.
Right. He was behind.
He lost going in.
Right. He was behind on election night, and he won with the absentees.
That's amazing. And you would have thought that after 2 years that the independent or the Republican would have done better. Well, especially with all the baggage he had.
Right.
The speaker had some baggage.
The Republican ran a very strong campaign. Had some very strong negative mailers on the speaker.
Right.
But again, as Tip O'Neill would say, all politics is local.
Yep.
And again, we're talking about 11,000 voters. And if you're the state rep, you know a lot of those people because you've been there for years and you make a lot of contacts. And people stay loyal to you. And the speaker had people who stayed loyal to him.
Plus the fact he was the speaker.
Right.
You don't want to lose the speaker.
Right.
The speaker's from your town.
And
We had him for years in Pawtucket.
And the big thing that he promised 2 years ago was getting rid of the car tax.
Right.
And that's being done. And his campaign was simply, keep me, we're going to keep getting rid of the car tax. If I'm not there, who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
So.
I still don't understand how that's going to work out because if you get rid of that tax,
right.
The money's got to come from somewhere.
Well, what's happening is the states want to fund the city and towns the money that they lose.
Yeah, I know, but the money's got to come from somewhere.
Right. Oh, yeah, it comes from
bottom line is the money's got to come from the taxpayer somehow,
somewhere.
either by income tax or some kind of tax.
Well, right now they're trying to just
Property tax.
They're fitting it into the budget, and they've done it for a few years now, and it's supposed to be like a 6-year gradual elimination. So right now it's progressing.
Well, I like the fact because Pawtucket, where I live, we have the second highest car tax in the state.
Yeah, and I'm in Cumberland, and the car tax is like about $19, $20.
We're $53 a thousand. I don't want to buy a new car.
Right, when I lived in Pawtucket, I remember it was that high also.
Yeah. What, you know what it is in Providence?
About $90 or something
Well, I
like
don't think it's that, but I think it's 76.
Yeah,
I think it's
pretty
70,
high.
but that's ridiculous compared to when I lived in East Greenwich. It was only in the low 20s, maybe even lower than that.
Yep.
But what do you think of the national election?
Well, on the national, I mean, it was expected. The conventional wisdom was the Democrats would pick up the House of Representatives. They did
not win the Senate.
But not win the Senate.
But also not lose spots in the Senate. Now, there's still a couple
it looks
undecided,
like, right? Yeah, right now, it looks like they're down at least 2 Senate seats. They may, which is Indiana and North Dakota.
Right.
I'm sorry, 3 Senate seats. Missouri.
Florida, too. What about Florida?
Those 3 they lost. And now Florida, they're down by 4/10 of a point.
What's
so that will go to
50,000 votes?
I think it's a little less than that, but it's going to go to a recount, and there's still military ballots coming in. That could tighten up, but more than likely, Governor Scott will probably win that race. It looks like, unless there's some big change in the recount. Then also in Arizona, there's a chance they could pick that seat. McSally, who's a Rhode Islander originally.
Is she really?
Yes. I think she might be from Cranston originally.
You know something? I know that. I mean, she's a pilot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's ahead by, I think, about 0.8 of a point. But that's what 75% of the vote, and the rest won't be coming in for a while for some reason. I don't know what goes on over there.
Well, there's one county in Arizona where they for some reason they take their time doing things.
I don't know exactly what it is, but so the Democrats could be down anywhere between 3 and 4 or 5 seats.
Wow!
But again, that doesn't make a real big difference because
they got
a lot of votes in the Senate. You need 60, to pass things. So I mean, the Democrats can still clock things up in the Senate. But the big thing is the Democrats now control the House. Nancy Pelosi will become the Speaker, and the President has to now deal with Democrats to get anything through the Congress. And we either could have 2 people working well together, or we could have gridlock for the next 2 years.
Right.
So.
And my bet, unfortunately, is on gridlock.
Well, that's a possibility. The one area I think they could agree with is infrastructure. Both Democrats and Republicans want to see infrastructure. If you can start off with something like that, that might get you going. You never know. I mean,
but the wall's got to be a deafening factor.
Yeah, and again, money matters start in the House. So I don't see the wall being in the budget with the Democratic Congress. But if you remember, back in the 70s, you had Ronald Reagan as president and Tip O'Neill as a speaker, and Democrat, Republican. But they would meet at night and get along with each other and work things out.
Right.
We haven't seen that in many, many years in this country.
Right.
Excuse me. Hopefully, we might see some of that. Donald Trump wants to see progress, because he feels it makes him look good, so he might be able to do some wheeling and dealing.
Hopefully, but he's got to stop his tweeting. I think he wouldn't be such a bad guy if he wasn't doing all that tweeting late at night. Some of the wackiest things he comes out with.
All those things play to his base, and everything he does play to his base, and it worked to get him more Senate seats because he got the base really going, right before the election, and really got the base energized, and that's what he had to do. It's not helping him with Democrats. It's not helping him that much with independents. But with his base, they really love what they're seeing.
Yeah, but what I should have said is, when he starts knocking people personally, that's there's no need for that.
No, I agree with you. But up to this point, it hasn't hurt him. He did it before he was elected president.
It hurt him with me because I wouldn't vote for him in a million years because of that attitude.
He still got elected in spite of you not voting for him, Bob. So I mean. What happens is, again, he plays to his base all the time. That's the big thing with Donald Trump.
But what do you attribute Florida went totally red this year?
Yeah, but again, both races by less than 1 point.
Right.
One's by 0.04 of a point. The other one is by about 0.8 of a point.
But in both the 2 Florida races, the senatorial race and the governor's race, they picked the Democrat, the polls.
The polls had the last polls I saw had the Democrat up by 3 or 4 points.
Right.
And again, the margin of error in those polls were probably about 4%.
Right.
So really, they were at the extreme end of the margin of error.
Right.
And also, you got to remember, when you do these polls, there's still a block of undecided voters. So, I mean, depending which way those undecided voters go, could also affect the outcome.
Well, there's also, and I find this to be true, when you're calling somebody, you call them, especially when there's something like in that particular case,
right.
The governor's race
Right.
in Florida, people are not necessarily going to tell you the truth. Especially it's a racial thing. You know, somebody don't want to look like they don't want to get in an argument with somebody over the phone, or think they're going to get in an argument with somebody over the phone, so they don't want to even give their.
Well, most of the time we found with our polling that people are pretty honest, and you'll give you an honest opinion. I mean, there is the possibility, and that's why we have the margin of error in there, where
Sure.
people can lie, but you might get people lying on both sides, so it balances it off in the end. But the thing is getting all your demographics correct, your sex, your age, your political parties.
Right.
That's the big thing.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you decide on which way? How do you poll a group? First of all, how many people is a poll?
Well, it depends. For example, with the WPRI TV, Roger Williams University poll,
500?
we did 400, which gave us a margin of error of 4.8%, plus or minus.
Now, how do you come up with the margin of error?
It's a formula that's calculated. You plug the population size in and the sample size you're doing, and it gives you a margin of error.
Wow.
And it's a matter of making a lot of phone calls nowadays.
Right.
When I first started doing this, you might make 8 phone calls to get an interview.
Right.
Now you might make 40 phone calls to get an interview.
To get one interview?
Get one interview. Because a lot of people don't answer, as you know, don't answer their landlines.
Right.
So now we don't just call landlines, we call cell phones. But with the cell phones, you can't use the random dialer. You got to hand dial them. So that costs you a lot more money to call cell phones, because someone has to hand dial all the numbers.
Right.
With the other ones, the machine dials, and then the operator gets on if somebody answers.
So
that's
how
a
do you
little
get
cheaper.
my cell phone number?
I buy them. I buy a
Buy
sample.
my cell phone.
Yep.
You got my cell phone number.
We buy a sample of cell phone numbers in Rhode Island.
Really?
And we buy a sample of landline numbers.
When you say sample, but does it have my name attributed to the number?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but we don't look at your name. We're basically looking at the number, looking at where you live, things like that, as far as what city or town, to make sure you have the right number
Right.
in each one.
Right.
But the name, we don't keep track of the name. When I get the results in, we don't even see a name.
All right. When all the results comes in,
Yep.
who's involved in deciphering it?
I do all the interpretation. It's all the data is run through the computer system. The crosstabs are all generated for me. So we get crosstabs by anything we want. So if we're doing the race for governor, we have the governor, but then we have how do they vote by male and female? How do they vote for the different age groups? How do they vote by political party? How do they vote by union or non-union membership? So I have that all the way across. All
Right.
those crosstabs are done. The computer person does all that for me. And that's done fairly quickly. If we finished interviewing on a Tuesday night, I'll get the data on a Wednesday morning. My computer person has it probably in a few hours, about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, I get it back.
Wow.
And I know results right away. And then we start preparing the tables and the charts, and I get things ready for Channel 12. And then I try to get over to Mr. Nisi and Mr. White a little bit ahead of time.
Mr. Nisi and Mr. White.
So we can get
wow.
started.
That's
Well-
Tim White.
And Ted likes to
And
remind
Ted Nisi.
Yeah, and also Ted likes to remind me that I've been doing this work for Channel 12 as long as he's been alive.
Yes. Although I get it.
Yeah,
No,
give
it
me a
should
hard
be the other
time.
way around. He should be calling you Mister.
Yes, he should. But he is getting gray, so I give him a hard time about that.
There you go. Yes.
But we get the information to Ted and Tim, and they start doing all their packages and get things ready to go for when we release the data.
All right. Now, like the Florida poll.
Yep.
How many people do they poll?
It depends on who's doing it. I saw some samples of 1,000 people, some maybe 500 people. It's all it's based on getting the right mixture of people in the right sections of the
Yeah,
state.
you got a whole state. You
For
got a big state like that.
If you poll everybody from Miami, the Democrat's going to win with 70%.
Right.
If you poll everybody from, say, the Panhandle,
Right.
the Republican's going to win.
Right.
So it's a mixture based on
Sure.
where your voting population is. For example, if I'm polling in Rhode Island, I do not want to poll half my sample from the city of Providence because the Democrat's going to win going away.
Or Pawtucket.
Right, or Pawtucket. I got a certain percent you want from Providence, certain percent from Cranston. So you want to get the sample correctly. And once you have the correct sample, it's a matter of making the phone calls.
Wow.
And it takes 3 or 4 days usually for us to complete it.
And how does it feel when you hit it right on the nose?
Well, I'm very happy with the results. We did 4 polls with Channel 12 back in July. The governor was up by about 2 points. In August, she was up by 2.5. We did a poll about a week after the primary. She was up by 7 points. And the last poll we did, she was up by 11. And she ended up winning by 14 or 15.
Yeah.
So we were pretty close
That's
to
pretty
it.
good, yeah.
4 years ago, our last poll with Channel 12, we had her up by 5 points. She won by 4.5 points. I mean,
Nice.
We had Sheldon Whitehouse ahead by 19 points in the last poll. He won by 22. But again, you got undecided voting now, so that's going to change the layout a little bit. But you're looking for the spread to see what you have and see how close you are.
Well, didn't this election throw it off because more millennials voted than ever?
It looks like more young people were voting yesterday. I haven't seen any exit poll numbers on that, but it looked like when I was out at the polls, there seemed to be more young people voting.
I was out all day. I was
Yeah.
working the polls all day. I saw a lot of younger people voting, which is great.
Yes, it is. The more young people we see, the better.
The more people you see.
Oh,
period.
yesterday was the second largest non-presidential election in Rhode Island going back to at least 1970.
Yeah, I would have bet it was the largest.
Well, nope. 2006, 392,000 voted, and that was with Sheldon Whitehouse and Lincoln Chafee and Charlie Fogarty and John Kucheri running for governor. But yesterday was 377,000. That was the second largest.
Wow.
We sort of knew it was going to be large because the absentee ballot requests were like 5,000 more than it was 4 years ago. The emergency ballots were already double what it was 4 years ago. So we suspected it would be large, and I think people said, well, the rain might hold it down. But I really felt the people in Rhode Island, because it's such a blue state, were motivated.
They certainly were.
Donald Trump motivated them either for him or against him to get out and vote. And we saw it yesterday.
I was at one
377.
polling place that probably, they tell me, normally does about 350. They were at 800 by 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Some of the polls were pretty large yesterday.
With the rain, even in
Yes,
the pouring rain.
the people just came out. You know, and I'm so glad when the voters came out. The campaigns, I'm sure, wanted to push them out. And it was a great turnout yesterday for a non-presidential election. Now, 2 years from now, we'll probably do 425, 450,000.
Right, because it's going to be a big race.
Be presidential race. People
plus the whole state. I don't know how many people. How many people you think are going to run for governor in 2 years?
None.
4 years. I'm
4
sorry,
years. That's right.
4 years.
The presidential election and the governor's races are not the same year.
Right.
But we do. People tend to come out and vote for president. We can get like 450,000
Right.
2 years from now.
Right. And we'll probably do that almost the same thing for the governor's race after that.
Again, the highest we've seen was 392, but you never know. Depending on how motivated people are, how big of a governor's race it is. Keep in mind, Republicans took a beating in Rhode Island yesterday. The only person left is the mayor of Cranston, Alan Fung, who also lost for governor.
Right.
But, I mean, they don't have Warwick anymore. Scott Avedisian's gone.
Right.
That's now a Democratic mayor.
Right.
They lost a couple more seats in the General Assembly yesterday. They lost some council stuff. So, I mean, it's really become a really solid blue state, and there's not many Republicans. They need to work really hard over the next 4 years to develop candidates to run for statewide office.
Sure.
They had nobody for Attorney General this year.
That I thought was odd. There was a name there. Wasn't there a name in there?
There was an independent who filed for Attorney General. I really believe what the Republicans saw when they saw Peter Nerona running, I think they said, we're not going to beat him.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
he's a former U.S. attorney,
Right.
strong prosecutor. I mean, put Gordon
Sharp
Fox
guy,
in jail.
yeah.
Let's not waste our money there. But again, they did not run strong campaigns for either of the congressional seats, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, general treasurer. Some of those candidates spent very little money at all.
Right.
But you need to have strong candidates to do well in Rhode Island. And they weren't there yesterday. They had a Senate candidate and a governor candidate, but after that, no real strong candidates, at least in the sense that they didn't have the financial ability to get themselves better known. And you need money.
What do you think Flanders did wrong?
Well, I think
Besides getting in the race too late, I guess.
Well, no, it's not so much getting there too late. I think the Donald Trump factor played into it. I don't think his campaign never really got off the ground, it seemed. He got the base Republican vote yesterday, did a little bit better than that, but he never caught on with the voters. I know the Brett Kavanaugh stuff, he was trying to use that against Sheldon Whitehouse.
Right.
Well, in our last poll, we asked people, should they have seated Brett Kavanaugh? 56% of Rhode Islanders, I think, said no.
No, yeah.
So, I mean, that was...
But nationwide,
but
candidates that picked Kavanaugh
Yep.
or against Kavanaugh, a couple of them
Right.
lost.
However, Bob Flanders wasn't running nationwide. He was running
Yeah,
Rhode Island, a very
right,
blue
right,
state.
of course, yeah.
And he used that issue, and that issue didn't help him. Plus, Sheldon Whitehouse, we've seen over the last 6 or 8 years, his job approval rating has been slowly going up.
Right.
So he's becoming more and more established with Rhode Islanders. The Republicans who win the U.S. Senate, there's only been 2 recently, and both of their last name was Chafee.
Exactly.
So, I mean, unless your name's Chafee, you're in tough shit. It's a very tough race to win. The Republican Senatorial Committee is not going to put a lot of money in here unless they see that you have a really good chance. And we did 2 polls in the Senate race, and both times we did it, Bob Flanders was behind by 19 points. Wow.
Well, look, I know you got to go to sleep.
No problem.
I'm glad you stopped
My
by,
pleasure.
though. It's always
Anytime.
a pleasure to see you.
Very good.
Thank you. Hang on there. We'll be right back, folks, with we're going to put a beautiful guest on now. And an artist, and a friend. We'll be right back. Well, this is Bob Venturini's Art Appreciation part of the show. Here we are back on An Hour with Bob with the lovely Alissa Langworthy from, is it Dartmouth, Massachusetts?
Well, I work in New Bedford.
New
Massachusetts.
Bedford.
That's where the studio is, yeah.
The studio's in New Bedford. You're from originally?
Originally,
Yeah.
I'm Lebanese. I'm from Lebanon.
From Lebanon.
Yeah.
But you've been married and lived in the United States an awful long
I've been here
time.
like 38 years, something like that. I've been here a long
Wow.
time.
Yeah. And we know each other. Why? Tell her why we know each other. Tell
Well,
people why we know each
Where
other.
do we start? Did we start on the boat?
On the boat.
He crewed for me. Bob crewed for me on my ship. I
75
captained
foot.
research.
75 foot.
Yep.
75-foot research vessel.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes. He went with us to Cuba, and was an awesome crew member and an awesome documentarian, and he was an awesome, knowledgeable about cars. Let's put it that way, which is a very important thing in Cuba. And, right?
that did surprise everybody. I think.
Yeah. Well, it was beautiful. Actually, I'm glad you were that way. And that trip was very inspirational in many ways.
All right, here's what we'll do. We'll go back and forth with that trip, but first I want to show
Yeah.
some of your art because you
Okay.
are an artist
Yeah.
and a fine artist. I
And
might add.
actually, that was what I was going to get to. Is some of these pieces were influenced by the trip
Really?
to Cuba. Yeah, by
Yeah.
being out on the ocean and going through some storms, and it actually changed my art from the figurative representational art to contemporary abstract. That's when I did that turn. I mean, it was going on for about a year, but that's when it really took off.
Was it after your odyssey from Oregon
Yeah.
through the Panama
that started
Canal?
It, yes.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yes, that started it.
First of all, you're
2 years
absolutely amazing. I
before.
told you this before. I mean, to
Yeah.
see how you operate that boat, that big boat, and how you handle it, handle yourself, and to find out when you came, she bought a boat in Oregon, right? Mm-hmm. Was it Portland,
Portland, Oregon, yeah.
And you took the boat. You don't call it driving. What do you call a boat?
Well, you sail.
Sail.
You can call it sailing, yeah.
'Cause it is a
and
sail. It's got-
steaming and
Yeah.
You sail.
You sailed from Portland, Oregon, down the entire west coast of the United States,
Yep.
down the entire west coast of Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through Panama, and then through Panama.
Through
right?
Panama, through the canal, and then up the East Coast.
And up the East
And
Coast.
I did have to have help at the time. I wasn't experienced enough, obviously. So we did hire crew, and
How many people
we had 5 people on board.
total?
Yep, including a captain, because at the time I did not have my license yet. But
Ah.
that was my learning.
That was your
my experience.
on the job.
That was my test, and I totally fell in love with it. And so I came back and got my 100-ton license and decided to keep going on this boat. And we've done research after research, and our next trip is Greenland.
Oh, well,
We're
wait a
going the
minute.
other
Wait,
way.
hold that back. Hold that back. We got to talk some.
Get ready.
Get ready for Greenland,
Yeah.
huh? All right. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. What is this first piece we got over here?
Well, this one was actually totally right after Cuba, after I came back from Cuba. And it is
When did
called-
we go to Cuba, by the way? What month was
We
it?
went in
May.
May.
May, yeah.
And I didn't get back till end of August.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we flew back.
Yeah, you guys took off
Me
on
and
me.
your husband flew back.
And it was just me and my dog. She was my maid. So we just
Well, your
kind
daughter
of,
was there, though.
she had to come back also.
She did?
Yeah. So
No,
we were in
wait a
Key
minute.
West with the dog for about 6 weeks, but then leaving Key West, she was with me the whole time, and she earned her first mate stripes, let's put it that way.
Wow.
Yeah, so she is my
She's
first mate.
phenomenal.
She knows this boat inside out. I trust her very, very much with it. We actually sailed the boat, just the two of us at one point. They had to go back. That's what was just she
But
and
she
I.
outshined any one of them.
Huh?
She was far
She
better.
was very much into it, you know, and she didn't get affected by the sea. I think we had people that got pretty
Right,
seasick.
yeah, that's
you know.
true,
We got
that's
some
true,
rough, some
yeah.
rough seas. We had at one point.
Well, you
we
had to
were
pull in a
fighting-
couple times when you come
We
down
did, we did.
from.
We were fighting about 25-foot seas there, and it was a little rough on everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I would say they were more than 25 feet, but at the same time, it was hard. It was hard on the boat. It was hard on the crew, and so we pulled in, got out of the weather for a
In the
little bit.
Carolinas,
This is on the way
right?
down.
Didn't you-
Huh?
Where'd you pull it, in the Carolinas?
No, we couldn't get into. We were outside of Fort Harris, and we could not get into Fort Harris because it was too shallow there. But as we got to, oh gosh,
Georgia?
no, we were in Florida at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We pulled in twice to Fort Lauderdale at one point, and I'm drawing this blank on this one. Oh my gosh.
Well, that'll come back. But
Where
let's
the space
talk about
shuttles go out of. Come on.
where? Oh, Cape Canaveral.
Thank you, Cape Canaveral.
Cape
Wow,
Canaveral.
I do
Well,
have
that
a
would have been
blank on
first,
That
before
was the
Fort
worst
Lauderdale.
part of it. Is right
Was
before
it?
we pulled in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty bad. So, and then continued on to Key West where we met you guys.
we
Yeah.
flew down. It was easy.
You flew. Yeah, you did not do any work until you went to Cuba.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one, right? From Key West to Cuba.
Oh my God.
That was a lot of work.
That was a trip. And we'll talk
Yeah.
about the other mates on the ship, or the other people on the ship
Yeah,
in a minute.
sure.
Now go ahead. What about this?
This is called Falls, and it was inspired by those waters. Really, it gives you a different appreciation when you're out at sea of water and movement, and basically it wants to do what it wants to do.
Right.
And
And then when you got nothing else but water, and
Yeah.
the sky.
Yeah, but the movement of it. I mean, I have a painting called New Day that also came out of that. You'll see it. I don't have any giclée prints. These are giclée prints of the paintings.
Now what's a giclée?
Giclée print is basically a reproduction of the work, but it is done where they take the actual painting. This painting is 36 by 72, so it's 3 by 6 feet.
Wow.
And they lay it flat down on this table that they have, and they bring down these lamps, just
Right.
like that. Nothing touches the surface. And they kind of turn on the lamps, turn them off accordingly.
The lamps
They
aren't hot? They're
they
not too hot?
No. There's specific lamps that are just basically designed to take a file, make a file of the painting. So now you have this file, and then they play with the file to bring it as close to the painting colors as possible.
Wow.
And it's really cool because in some of the paintings that have the deep paint, some of the giclées, actually, you can see, you almost want to go touch it. It almost looks like it's three-dimensional, like it's on a
Really?
painting.
Yeah?
It's pretty neat. It's a very, very, it's better than taking a photo and having a print made.
Right.
It's much, much
What,
better.
that would be called a lithograph, right? Is that what that-
Lithograph, actually, they make lithographs and serigraphs are actually made on presses.
Right.
Yeah, they're not made. You could take a
Right.
photo of a lithograph.
Well, that's what I meant when,
Yeah.
when you said the other
Yeah.
way is
Yeah.
the cheaper way is the
The cheaper way is just take a photo and have them make a picture of it,
Right,
basically.
right,
and
right.
you don't get the depth.
you don't
know?
get the depth
Yeah.
or nor the correct color necessarily. right?
No, I've tried that, and it was just not. It was disappointing. This was very, very good, and the people I use are really extremely very good at this.
Now I was at your last show. You got another show coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When? When is that coming up? I saw this. When is that coming
It's
up?
November.
November 16th?
16, 17, 18. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving.
This is cool. If you got an opportunity to get to see this is the place you want to be. And I told you this microphone was going to give me trouble.
Did it fall down?
Yeah, the clip fell off it. Oh, we're back. This is live television, folks. I'm going to hold the mic, I guess. This clip isn't. See, the clip is loose. See. Anyway, you're having it this. What is it? The 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah. It's right here if you want to zoom in on this one, or
Yep.
16, 17, and 18 of November.
Is that at the same place?
Yep.
That's your.
It's Hash Street Studios, and basically we have a building that used to be a textile mill. It's quite huge. It's four stories, and there are over 82 artists in there right now.
Wow.
So they'll
really?
be pretty
There's that
busy.
many artists?
It'll be pretty busy.
Now, what
yeah.
floor are you on?
I'm on the 4th floor.
4th floor.
Yeah. So what you want to do, we have a freight elevator that we have someone who is manning it, and you get on the elevator. You go to the 4th floor. You see the studios there, and you just walk down. You don't want to walk up.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, and then that's the best way to do it. You get to see everybody's work. But this one, we have.
And your stuff's all on the 4th floor.
It's all. I have my own studio on the 4th floor, so
Right.
everybody's got their studios, and we have guest studios. I'm going to have 2 guest artists in there with me, same ones from last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So it should be quite a bit of fun. There's food and music and
and a little drink.
everybody has drinks in their studios, but there's definitely beer and wine and performances and music. It's really fun. It's a very fun weekend. Friday is from 5 to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And then Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh, you're falling apart here.
Am I falling apart?
No, your mic's falling. What's the matter? You give me another mic, or a clip? You put it on hold? Beautiful, thank you. Beautiful.
Good.
Let me fix hers while we're at it.
Still there? I think it's still there. You guys hear me?
Yeah, it fell when you went down. When you went down to help me.
Oh, it did.
The mic went with it.
All right. Thank you.
Right. Are we there? Are we back? We put it on hold for a minute, right? Oh, you can edit it. Yeah. All right. So your pictures or your artwork, a lot of it's big and really big.
It's very big, yeah. I do
There's
huge
a couple
paintings.
beautiful pieces you
Thank
had,
you.
the big piece.
I
I
have
took
more.
pictures of you in front of you and your husband.
Yes, you did. You did. Did you have fun that day?
Oh, of course I did.
That was a very good day.
Cool. That was
It was a
cool.
very
That
good
was
day.
cool.
Thank you for coming.
I was impressed too. I was very impressed by your work.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you
This
do.
is I do original oils, and in large scale. So these are just little miniatures, and people who don't want a large piece or can't afford the large paintings, they
Right.
can order the giclées, whatever size they
Say
want.
say that word again.
Giclée.
Giclée?
It's a French word.
I know. I gather that. Giclée. Now you speak a few languages, right?
Arabic, French, and English. Yeah. I try.
You try.
Yeah. So there's painting number 2. If
Oh, you got
want
number
to
2
talk
over
about
there.
this one, yeah.
What do we got?
This one is called Ambiguity.
Ambiguity, huh?
This one is a 48 by 72. the
48 by
original.
72. And it's 4 feet by 6 feet,
That's it. Yeah.
or 6 feet by 4 feet. depending
It's
on how you-
actually a 4 by 6 because it is a vertical. Ambiguity was inspired. Actually, I woke up and thinking about that. I do that a lot. I wake up and I make a quick drawing, but it was inspired by a dream.
Really?
That is ambiguous. It was very, very ambiguous. So I got the
What was the
idea-
dream about?
I don't know. It was ambiguous. See, that's just it. It's like thoughts and ideas and stuff like this that just they
Just
have
flows.
some form, but you
Right.
don't really understand them very well.
Yeah.
They don't have a definition. Is what ambiguity is trying to say. You can see some stuff in it, but most of it is pretty hazy, and it's talking about things that are ambiguous.
Do you have a favorite color?
No.
You
I
don't.
love all the colors on
Really?
the board, but I do love my red boat. So a lot of people think I love red.
Your
the
red
best.
boat. I wish. You know what I should have brought? I should have brought a picture of your boat. I have. Oh, wait a minute. No, I do have.
Do you?
I have a
Okay.
picture of me
I
and.
was going
no,
to bring one, and I
No,
so
maybe I
didn't have
don't.
chance.
No, I got a picture of the hat. I don't have a picture of the boat. I don't have a
Should've-
picture of the
I should
boat.
have brought
A
it.
picture of
I
the.
was going to, and I forgot. I totally forgot. I was running like crazy trying to get here.
Only time I've ever worn a hat is your hat.
I like that hat on you. You should wear it all the time. Phoenicia.
Phoenicia, I do. I got to show that then. I got to show that. Go ahead, keep talking here while I look for this picture of your hat, or my hat.
Well,
but
you
it's your
were,
hat.
you were a crew member officially. So
I rated the crew members. Where is it now? Huh? See if I can find it. Ambiguity.
ambiguity.
Now, how many?
It's like being in a fog out at sea.
How many artists? You said there were how many artists in that
We
building?
have over 80, 82, over that.
Over 80 artists.
Yeah.
I got the picture.
We have
This is
the owner, the current owner. This is your hat
That's-
from the boat.
that's the hat.
That's it.
You got this?
Research
Who's
vessel
got that shot?
Phoenicia. Over there.
You got it? Now, how did you come up with the name of the boat, by the way?
Well,
It was Felicia.
the Phoenicians
Phoenician.
were the first maritime sailers.
Right.
The first. to
Okay,
build
that's what that
ships.
would make
Yeah.
sense. That would make sense. to
And
me
they
now.
are the ancestors of modern-day Lebanese people.
Uh-huh.
And in modern-day Beirut, Tyre, that's where their homeland was. That's where they were based out of. So they sailed around the Mediterranean and did trade and circumnavigated Africa. But there's word that they made it to the New World as well in their vessels.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
Long before.
Yeah, they were the first to build the ships. Not so Christopher Columbus.
Wow.
Yeah, they were the first to build sailing vessels. It was an interesting history with the Phoenicians. So in homage to them, and she is going to make it back to Beirut one of these days.
Really?
It will be fun to have it go back there. Yeah, we're going to take it back there. I
Wow.
was hoping for next summer, but it might be a year from that. So
To go to
Beirut,
Beirut. But before Beirut, you're going to where?
Greenland.
Greenland.
But it's not that far to come back down and go through the Straits of Gibraltar right into the mud. Come on, we can do this. What do you think?
Really?
Yeah. Check
Wow.
out North Africa.
Man, you are
It's an
Unafraid.
adventurous. No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. We take good care of this vessel. We have her. She's built for being offshore. She's built for sailing around
right,
the world.
right. It's a steel-hulled vessel,
Steel
right?
hull, 88 tons, motor sailor. It's got everything. She's self-sustaining. She has the wind generators and solar panels, so we can produce our own electricity, run the batteries, run the generator, right off of that. So it's cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I had
You
my
had
own
a good
cabin.
time.
I had my own
You had a
cabin.
good time. You had your own cabin. You had your own cabin.
And we had somebody from a Navy SEAL on the boat.
We did.
Jeff.
Yep. He was a former Navy SEAL. He came and helped us with the lines. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
So-
big guy from England.
From England, the big guy.
The big guy.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right. He had letters in his department where he worked, right?
Yeah.
3 letters.
We have a
Oh,
painting
what do we got
number
here?
3. Painting number 3 is called Rainforest.
Oh, cool. I love the
This one.
colors.
This one is also oil on canvas, and it is 48 by 72 in size.
Again, 4 by 6.
Yep, the original size is, yeah. And this is a giclée print of it as well. It captures the colors very well. It captures
A lot of colors.
There's a lot of colors in it.
A
Yeah.
lot of colors.
Yeah, this one was very colorful.
Now, how long did it take you to paint
Hence
that?
the rainforest.
The rainforest.
Yes.
Yeah, which one?
You-
Which
whichever
rainforest?
one. Whichever one. I grew up for part of my life in Africa,
Yeah.
and I've always been fascinated by it. But actually, Cuba has scenes of this type. Costa Rica, if you go in the right time
Right.
of year.
Even Puerto Rico has a rainforest.
Puerto Rico, yes. So it's just not anything specific. It's not any specific rainforest. It's
Right.
just a generalization of rainforest. Their color, their birds, the sound. The painting is hopefully evokes, when you look at it closely, evokes those feelings. You can almost smell the rainforest. You can hear the birds. You can hear the leaves. You can hear the water.
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to do with this one.
It's colorful. Very, very colorful. I like it. Like you said, you look at it, the longer you look at it, the more things you see.
There's a lot to see in there.
Right?
Yeah.
The more you see,
There's
the
a
longer
lot
you
to
look
see.
at it. Well,
And-
that is
and
what
that's-
art
and
is
that's the
anyway,
thing,
isn't it?
That's the thing. A lot of it with contemporary abstract, you do have that effect. Like each one of these paintings will have a description of what it's roughly about and what I was trying to convey.
Right.
But when people look at them, they see different things.
Right. Exactly.
Like when you look at a painting of, say, a church, for example, everybody sees the church. You look at a painting of the sea, they see the sea. It's like a representational painting. Abstract art, contemporary abstract art, takes you different level. People see whatever they can,
Yep.
whatever they want, and
Whatever they
that's
want
why
to see
they
out of it.
identify.
The way their upbringing, their life experiences come through the painting.
It brings things like, I have people go, "Oh, I like that horse." I'm like, "There is no horse in there, but that's okay." Seriously, I've had that.
You
happen.
see a horse, okay.
Yeah,
I
there's
know.
a horse. Yes. But you do, and you get looking, yeah, okay. Or there's this looks like a witch here. So it just, whatever people see, it evokes an emotion in them. It evokes an understanding that there's more to see than just what the image is trying to say to you.
Right. Yeah.
And that's okay.
So November 16th, 17th,
November
and
16th,
18th,
17th, and 18th. Yeah. The
was it
weekend.
Hatch Street?
Hatch Street Studios.
In New
and
Bedford.
In New Bedford.
As we call it, New Beige.
New beige.
New Beige. You ever heard that term?
No.
Come on.
Beige?
New Beige.
Why beige?
I don't know. New Beige, New Bedford.
That is not a color I would attribute to New Bedford.
No?
That is a very soulful, it has soul, it has power. It's got a lot. I like New Bedford.
It is. And yeah.
So,
Got a lot of history in New Bedford.
HatchStreetStudios.com And then so you can get the
High Street
address. Hatch,
Studios?
Hatch.
Hatch Street.
It's
Studios.
literally on
High
a little street
Hatch
called
Street.
Hatch Street.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been there, but unfortunately nowadays you use the GPS, so I forget phone numbers now. I don't remember how to get where places anymore. I use, everything goes by the phone now.
It happened to me tonight, yeah.
Did
There was
it?
an accident on 195 and we had to get diverted, and so it was the GPS that brought me here in the back ways. So, yeah. Hopefully I can go home the easy way.
Oh, yeah, well, hopefully the accident's gone, right?
Oh, yeah. They were cleaning it up. So, but it was right before the exit, 114, I think, the highway I was supposed to take.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
had
that
to,
would've
I had
brought
to
you
go
here,
off
yeah.
before that. So,
All right, what do we got next? You're already up there. Yeah, look at this. She's unbelievable.
this painting is also a 48 by 72 oil
Yeah.
painting, and it's called Fisher.
Fisher?
Fisher, like F-I-S-S-U-R-E. I could be
Yep.
saying it wrong. Is that how you say it? Fisher?
Fisher. That's
Fisher.
good.
I've heard people say fissure. Yeah, but it's
Fissure.
Fisher, yeah. Fisher is something also that was inspired
Yep.
from being at sea. Ironically speaking, because
Now,
it looks
that
like
looks-
nothing like the sea. but-
No, it doesn't. It looks like a
looks like-
waterfall.
Well, it looks like an opening in the water. To me, this was what it was. It's like the water was moving so much. We had so much of a storm that one day that you could literally see openings almost between the waves before they
Really?
got together. I mean, it's how you see it. It's all how your eye views, the things. But it also is representative of, like, could be any kind of a fissure in the rock and in the ground, or it could be a fissure in somebody's, soul, a pain that you can't get rid of, some angst,
Yep.
So it's just a representation of a chasm. And also made a giclée of that one as well. A lot of people like that one. I don't know why. But so the sea, being out there brings up a lot of different inspirations for these paintings.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did you start painting? How long ago did you start
I've been
painting?
painting over 35 years now.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I studied. I studied art, and now I fell in love with oil painting, and that's the medium I stayed with. Yeah, I've been painting a long time.
Wow.
But this
Multi-talented
is
young lady. My God.
Thank you. Thank you.
Multi-talented.
Thank you very much.
What else you got? Oh, we're changing. We're changing. So we're going to talk
changing,
about something
changing.
here.
Well, I have more paintings, newer paintings, but they're still wet right now.
Oh, huh.
They have to
How
be
long do
dry
they take
before
to
I
dry?
take them. It depends on how much paint is on there. The thicker, obviously, the paint, the longer it takes.
And
But
they're all on canvas?
they're all on canvas, and they need to be, once they are completely dry all the way through, they need to be varnished. You got to put a coat of varnish to protect them.
Right.
And so 6 months is the minimum that I would wait for a painting. Like even like one with the first one that you saw, Falls, did not have a lot of thick paint on it. It's very, very calm and serene, and that's the impression that I wanted to give.
Sure. So that would dry faster.
It would dry faster. It is dry, but right now it is on loan. It's on loan up in Waltham. It's at somebody's attorney's, some attorney's office. So
Really? Yeah?
yeah. It's a corporate loan program that my work it goes through, and so when I get it back, it's ready. It'll be ready to be varnished. It's actually already ready. I want to go see it.
Hey, speaking of, what do you think of that art auction they had where the painting came down and was cut up? What was that? That was some kind of,
Shredded?
shredded. What did you
He's
think
a
of that?
street artist. Yeah, I don't know.
Supposedly, apparently, the art is worth more than it was worth. It was $1 million, right? They
It
sold
was
it for
going
$1
for
million.
like 1.2 million or more.
Something like that, yeah. And
But
after they won it,
didn't
right
want
after they won
he
it,
didn't want it to go to auction. The artist didn't want it to go to
but
auction.
wait a minute, he had to be there
Yeah.
because somebody
Probably.
had to activate that, right? It was a remote control activated. If you didn't see it, folks, there was a piece of art that went for over $1 million at an auction house.
An auction.
I don't
Was it?
remember
It
the
wasn't
auction house. It
Tiffany's,
was in England, I think, right?
It was in England?
I think so.
I didn't pay much attention to it.
Where?
He got a lot of publicity
He
out
sure
of this, that's
did.
for
He
sure.
sure did. And supposedly, on the guy that painted it had booby trapped it.
Yeah.
Now,
With a shredder.
Now, my question is, it was sold right there for $1.2 million or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Say I'm the one that bids on it. I bid $1.2 million on that artwork. And then all of a sudden it's shredded. Do I have to pay for it?
No. I don't know about that.
right?
I think it's on the owner. I mean, but I don't know. Honestly, I've never seen anything like that.
Neither has anybody else.
You know, it's not.
But supposedly they offered the owner to take it back, and they said no, they wanted it because supposedly it's worth more because of all the publicity and.
It's probably, if you put the pieces together, you probably could sell it.
No, but no, I think they want it the way it is with the motor in it and the shredded pieces coming down.
That's how they want it?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Supposedly it's worth more because of that,
Yeah.
right? And because it got international recognition, you know? Odd. So what do we got here?
It is odd.
Oh, now that's interesting.
This one is a smaller one. It's a 36 by 36, the original.
3 by 3.
Yeah.
3 foot by 3 foot.
Yep.
And that is, what is that called?
It's called Formation of a Thought.
Okay,
actually
you know, I actually get that. I actually get that. I studied that in college, I might add. I didn't major in it, but I
Okay.
took art appreciation.
Yeah.
You had to take an easy course. I took art appreciation and just go, you know, could just say anything. And,
That was funny.
yeah.
But it's like art forming, literally.
Right.
I mean, a thought
The-
forming. We
The
talk about
world
art.
forming.
No, a thought. Just
a
a
thought.
thought. A thought in your head.
Thought in your head.
What happens when you go through a program like the captain's course, for example, and you're studying all the various things that you do study with it, not just to get that license, but to get the auxiliaries of sailing and auxiliaries of learning the radar. Your brain starts to think differently. You start to think in different ways, and
Well, more analytically, don't you?
more analytically, more critically. I mean, you solving problems out there on the go,
Right.
just like
and
this,
it's life.
on the fly.
It's life decisions you're making.
It's life
Death-
decisions.
Life or death
That's
decisions,
exactly
right?
Yeah, for most of the time it is. You have to be right there.
Especially you're in a
But
storm like that,
Yeah.
and you're with your daughter and two mates.
two mates, and everybody pitches in. But people get sick. They get sick. They can't function.
You're the biggest guy there of the four of you. The biggest of the four people there got sick, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't handle it well.
He didn't handle it
was
well.
rough. It was rough. And if you're not used to it, that's,
He didn't
I
even
felt
handle
bad
it
for
well when
him.
we were
I
going
really
to
did.
Cuba. He didn't even handle it well.
Yeah, that was bad going to Cuba. Remember when we went,
How about
against the Gulf Stream?
How about when we stopped
And
in the
everybody
middle of the
jumped
ocean
in?
and me and well, actually, thankfully, I didn't jump in right away.
Good for
The
you.
three of us were in the back
I
of the
was
boat.
so mad. I was so
I
mad.
know. We
I
just
told
stopped
him.
the boat, and the two guys jumped off, the Navy SEAL and the English Special Forces, or whatever it was, SAS agent, right? I can say that, I already did. The Navy SEAL jumped
were
off the
crew.
boat, and
They
they
were my
ended up,
crew.
what, 100 yards away in like
In no time.
10 seconds.
Yeah, no, it was moving because we were in the Gulf Stream, and the Gulf Stream was going like 5.5 knots at that point, and the boat is moving as well. So we had to throw them the lifelines, and I was very upset. I wanted everyone to drop a line. You never jump off a ship in the middle of the ocean until
I
you know
did.
what the current is doing. Yeah, but it was after I told you it
That's
was
right.
okay.
That's right. I wait for the captain. You
Yes.
got to wait for the
They
captain to
decided
give
they
you
were gonna
give
go
you
for it,
permission.
so- Yeah, but
I jumped off the
everybody
back
was
of the
okay,
boat.
and that was the
How deep
important
was the
thing.
water there?
It was over 1,000 feet, 1,700, something like that. It's pretty deep.
You're in the
It was we were way out there.
Yeah.
We were quite a bit out there. We were over 100 miles out. But not over 100 miles, I
No.
shouldn't say that. We were about maybe, I want to say halfway.
Yeah, we were at least halfway.
We were about halfway between Cuba and Key West, so we were probably 40, 45 miles, something like that, out offshore, yeah. But the depth was definitely at least 1,750 feet, at least, yeah. So,
It was warm.
and it doesn't matter.
It was warm.
It doesn't matter. It was very warm. So this is the end of it.
Is that
As
it?
far as
That's
what I
all we
brought
got. So we're
tonight,
gonna have to go
I
on
brought
with-
6 pieces, but you have to come and see the new stuff.
All the
There's
new
a lot
stuff?
of new stuff.
On
And
the 15th, 16th, or 17th. What is that? Friday,
16,
Saturday,
17,
Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 16, 17. It's the weekend right before Thanksgiving.
Keep
in my mind.
Well, that's
So,
coming up. My God, that's coming fast.
It's a very fun day. We get
That's
a lot
only
of
a
good
week
turnout.
away. That's only a week and a half away.
It's
It's a
coming
week
right
from.
up.
Today is what's today? Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, day after
It's
the
a
election.
week and 2
so a week
days.
from this weekend. 9 days.
Yeah.
9 days away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to come and see you.
I hope you do.
And I got to see your hubby. I haven't seen my doc. We should know, by the way, her husband is the one that finally fixed my knee. I had it replaced twice before. No good. And the doc put it back together.
That's
Somebody
where the
else
story
put
with
Humpty
you started.
Dumpty.
Not
What?
on the boat. It was
What?
with Mike.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how
That's how we met you.
That's how we met. Well, I met
So-
you. Do you remember when I actually first saw you?
I do remember.
Do you remember? Do you remember what you were doing?
Yes, I was in a skiff and I was drilling holes.
That's right.
In the
I didn't think you would
pylons.
remember that.
These big bolts were being put in.
There
because
she
they
is,
were putting protectors.
a woman, and she's drilling away in the boat, and there's a guy standing there doing nothing, and she's drilling. I'm going, man, this
He was
woman
laughing
is
at
something.
me. That's what
yeah,
he
he was
doing.
laughing at
That's
you.
my engineer. Gary. Yeah.
She not only pilots the boat, or captains the boat, but she fixes everything.
You do. You learn a lot. You learn to be an engineer, literally.
And then, by the way, we did go out on that boat once before we went to
Yes,
Cuba.
we did.
We went on a
a
whale
watching.
watch.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did. Well, we were doing a study that day too, but it was also a whale watching cruise, so it was
Right.
good. It was a very fun day.
It was a
one of my
good
favorite
day, and we
days.
saw an unbelievable amount of whales. We
That was
saw
a
a
lot.
ton of whales.
Yeah.
And it's
There's a lot
ironic.
of humpbacks.
It was ironic that I was looking at that footage today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have brought a picture of the boat.
I know. I'm sorry I didn't have one. I had. You know what it is? I thought I had the other phone. I changed my phone to an iPhone from an
Yeah.
Android to an iPhone,
Yeah.
which I'm not sure I like. And they say iPhones are easy.
I like iPhones.
Do you like the
Yeah.
iPhone?
You'll get used to it.
Really? I like the
They're
Android.
secure too.
What?
They're secure too.
Really?
Yeah.
They're more secure, right?
Yeah, that's what I hear anyway.
Is it?
But so Greenland.
Oh yeah. Tell me
Greenland is
about
the
about Greenland.
Next thing.
Is that on next
We're
trip?
hoping next July or August. We'll
What do
be
you mean
going up.
next July? This coming
summer.
2019?
Yeah.
Really? First of all, isn't it odd that Greenland has a lot of ice and Iceland has a lot of forest? I think they messed up on the name of those islands.
I heard that it was. I heard it said that it was done on purpose, so that they would deter the Vikings from coming and striking because it's just ice over there. Nobody lives there.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Who knows? There was a lot of stories circulating about that.
The Greenland, yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of ice there. Yeah. So they went to Iceland instead?
Iceland is very beautiful, from what I hear.
I've been to Iceland.
Oh, you
I've
have?
landed
Okay.
Reykjavik. I've landed there before.
Yeah, but it's got most of the ice.
Yeah.
Definitely. No,
got-
it's greener.
Green. It's
It's
greener
greener,
there.
Yeah.
Not much.
No,
much.
not really.
No,
not really.
no.
But so we're hoping to do a study there with a bacteria that may help break down oils in the ocean.
Oh, that
Like
would
when
be
they have
great,
oil
huh?
spills and stuff like that. It's a pretty ancient bacteria, like that's buried in the ice. So we'll
That
see.
would be cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe we'll send you under the ice water to find it.
yeah. I'll go on the ice. I'll go on the ice.
I knew you would. You're a very adventurous man.
Well, listen, did you have fun spending a half an hour with Bob?
I always do. Bob is a great, great man to have company with, and on a boat, top
We
notch.
had fun.
You're gonna have to come back on the boat with us.
We had
but I
fun.
hope you come to the show.
Oh, I plan on it. I am
Good.
coming to the show. Absolutely
Good,
coming to the
good.
show.
Friday
November
is just-
15th, 16th, and 17th.
No, 16, 17,
Oh,
18.
I'm sorry, 16th, 17th, and 18th. I'm sorry.
Well, 16th is just like from 5 to 8 p.m.
5 to 8 on Friday
And
night.
then Saturday, Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
11 to 5.
So you want the day to kind of go through and
17th and 18th.
see other work and stuff like that.
Sure,
And enjoy.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is Mike going
And
to be
you're
around?
invited too.
Is Mike going to
whoever's
be around?
listening. Yes, of course.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
He'll be there. He'll be the one with the drink in his hand. We'll have a scotch for you. If you're available for that, if you want some. Yeah. But anyway, so it'll be a good time. It always is.
It is. It is.
Thank you for having me on your show.
And thank you for coming.
Yeah.
A handshake instead of
And
a kiss.
thank you, everyone, for putting up with us. Aw.
And thank you, folks, for spending an hour with Bob.